Oh, Jamar Chase with the dive. Because Garrett Wilson's wide open. Garrett Wilson, touchdown Barrett. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the video here on the Water Juice channel, and welcome back to another Madden rebuild. This time we are going to be taking on maybe our most difficult challenge to date. Forget about the Arizona Cardinals, forget about the Houston Texans, forget about the Carolina Panthers or the New York Giants or the Denver Broncos. Today we are going to be rebuilding the Steel City from the ground up. Pittsburgh, wave those terrible towels because we're going to bring you back another championship. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the team we are going to be rebuilding. Mike Tomlin and his never getting over, never losing, having a losing season. He's out the door. We got a new head coach, a new sheriff in town. And Tiny Hands Pickett is coming for everybody. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club, and let's get started rebuilding the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have arrived at week 1 of the first season in Pittsburgh. Let's take a good look at what we are working with here in year number 1. Kenny Pickett, Tiny Hands, is our starting quarterback, wearing the 2 gloves just like Teddy Bridgewater. Star development is very, very good, but he's only a 70 overall. I want, ideally, for Kenny Pickett to be the guy that wins a championship with this team. He's went to college at Pittsburgh, got drafted by the Steelers, hometown kid. Unless he's actually from Pennsylvania, I don't know. I think he might be from the area, actually. So, a hometown kid, and he's playing for the Steelers, and I want him to win a championship. I want him to be the guy that takes us to the promised land. So, at least for the first few seasons, we're not going to be on quarterback watch, either in free agency, the draft, or whatever. So, we're going to try to focus on other positions that we do absolutely need. But Pickett's got good stats. It's just he's got low awareness, and that really kills a player's overall in Madden. If you have a super low awareness. If he had, like, in the 80s, he'd probably be a 78, 79 overall player. That's how much of a difference it is having such a low awareness. But Kenny Pickett, I want him to be the guy. We obviously have Najee Harris. We're familiar with him from our Red Dragons franchise. If you're not familiar with the Red Dragons, go check it out on the channel. Playlist is on the channel. Post almost all the time. Najee Harris has really good stats. And in an offense where he's utilized, I think he can just absolutely soar to 90 plus. Speaking of soaring to a 90 plus, George Pickens, I want to be our wide receiver 1. Now, things may change and he may become wide receiver 2, depending on if we sign a free agent, trade somebody, draft somebody, whatever. But I want George Pickens to be on this team when we win a championship. And I do say when. He's just so good. He's so talented in real life, and he is uber talented in the game. 90 speed, 94 excel, 88 catching, 90 catching traffic. I mean, he's even got 91 change of direction. He's such an elite receiver and a big body at 6'3", so I really want him to be a cornerstone of this franchise when we're lifting up a Lombardi trophy again. Guys that probably won't be around is Deontay Johnson. No, I can't say that for sure. He's only 27 years old. He's superstar development. He's very good in terms of his physical stats. So he could be around if he's cheap. I certainly would not put that past us to have him be around if he's cheap. We've got a young tight end. We got actually 2 young tight ends that I do like. We've got Pat Freiermuth, who's been around for a couple years. Very good, very underrated tight end in the league. He's not on that upper echelon of like Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Mark Andrews, those kind of guys. But he could be considered on that second level like TJ Hawkinson and Kyle Pitts and all those guys. That's probably where you would put him. But the other guy that I do like is Darnell Washington, rookie from Georgia. I liked him at Georgia. He kind of got overshadowed a little bit by Brock Bowers. But Darnell Washington is still a very, very good, very athletic tight end. And he's also a big body, 6'7". So I like both of those guys at the tight end spot. And no, we're not going to be running Kansas City's playbook for year number 1. I know that usually would mean Pat Freiermuth would just absolutely destroy. But we're going to run actually a different playbook for Season 1. Not the Steelers either. The offensive line is in need of some work. We've got Broderick Jones from Georgia, the rookie left tackle, who I'm hoping can be our cornerstone left tackle. Or maybe a right tackle, depending on how we move the offensive line around. But I want him to be here because he's got good talent. He's got good potential. But everybody else can pretty much go. Not a whole lot of redeeming qualities on this offensive line. And then on the defense, there's really only a couple players. You've got TJ Watt, obviously, first and foremost, a stud, still only 28 years old. He's got a lot of years left in the tank, and he's an X factor. He's one of the best, if not the best defensive player in the league. If you consider Myles Garrett better, that's on you. That's all your opinion. I would say they're 1A, 1B probably. But TJ Watt for this team is going to absolutely dominate. He's going to absolutely destroy it, and he's going to be on this team. I'm going to try to keep him as long as I can. A guy that I like because he's a Buckeye and because he's a good dude. Also, he's old. Cam Hayward, I want to keep around for as long as possible, but he's going to start to regress even more than he already has. He is already at only an 81. He's still got the X factor. He's a veteran leadership in that locker room, a big voice, but he's in Madden, he's not going to get any better. He might go up 2, 3 overalls because of like morale, but he's not going to have any more development. He's just going to start to get older and even more lose even more overall. So I want to keep him around as long as possible, but I doubt that he's here when we win a championship, even though I do like him. The rest of the defensive line, not a whole lot there. Linebackers other than TJ Watts, not a whole lot. Alex Highsmith, maybe. He's only 26 and he's got star development. He's on a good track, but we'll see what happens with him. If it depends on it. All this depends on, except for guys like George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, TJ Watt, guys like that. All the other guys that are kind of like iffy, it depends on how expensive they are. If they're not too expensive, we can bring them back and they can be on the team, but it all depends on how expensive they actually are. Minkah Fitzpatrick, a nice, good safety. Really like Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's super good. One of the best free safeties, one of the best safeties in the entire NFL. He's so good, and I'm really excited to have him be our starting free safety for the entire rebuild. We've got the rookie Joey Porter Jr., obviously the son of legendary linebacker Joey Porter. Very good potential, 90 speed, not great on defense. 74 man, 69 zone, nice. But he's athletic, he's a freak, and if he can develop, those man coverage, zone coverage stats will certainly go up. So I like the potential of Joey Porter, and I got him as the starting #1 corner on this team because I want him to be the #1 corner, or at least I want him to be in contention for the #1 corner. We could have had Levi Wallace or Patrick Peterson play starting #1 corner, but I want Joey Porter. He's got too much potential to not be the #1 corner. So that is what we're working with on this Steelers offense in year #1. How many of those players will be here when we eventually win a championship? I have no idea. Hopefully a good amount of them. I've been pretty good about, in the past couple rebuilds, of keeping the majority of the original team on the team when we hold up a championship. So this is our first draft class, and there's already a top corner. I like the look of that. Tony Hancock, what a legendary name. I like the look, and he's from Oklahoma State, so he's playing Big 12 defenses. A little bit concerning, but back to teammates, actually. Oklahoma State teammates, Trayvon Hale. So Oklahoma State must have had a good year this year. They've got teammates in the top 5. A BYU quarterback that can never end well. We've got another BYU quarterback, Devin Cobb, battling with Alex Webb. They had 2 quarterbacks from BYU. Maybe it was like a Taysom Hill situation, although Taysom Hill wasn't really the guy that he is now at BYU. He still did a lot of the stuff, but he played mainly quarterback at BYU. Nowadays, he's playing everything. So maybe it was more of that situation where one of them was playing a little bit more quarterback and the other one was playing like a utility role. I don't know. I mentioned that we weren't running the actual Pittsburgh playbooks for season 1, and that's true. We are going to be running Nick Sirianni Philadelphia playbook for offense to try to get both the receivers involved, get Kenny Pickett involved, get the tight ends somewhat involved. I know that the tight ends not anymore get involved. Dallas Goedert sometimes gets involved. But I want Najee Harris and the receivers to get super good. And then we're going to be running 49er defense because the 49ers always make the postseason. They always make the Super Bowl in Madden simulations, so we're going to run them. And we're actually playing the 49ers in game #1. I'm going to simulate to the midseason mark. We're going to see how this Pittsburgh team plays in the first season. and we will go from there. Hope you guys go and enjoy. If you do, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club, and let's go start to rebuild the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've made it to week 8, midway point of the season. We currently sit at 3-3, not the worst team in the conference by any means. That is the Cleveland Browns. Shockingly, 1-5. I don't usually see the Browns be that bad, but you know what? I take that back. Recently, in past rebuilds, we have seen the Browns be like in the top 5 picks. I don't know what's going on. Their defense is like amazing. I know their offense probably isn't great, but you'd think that their defense would be able to win them some games more than just the one that they've got so far. So 3-3 on the year so far. Mock draft number 1, or number 2 actually, is available. But our negotiations are not many in terms of guys that we would be super, super intrigued to bring back. Actually, maybe not anybody. We're going to accept the option on Najee Harris. But there's not really anybody on this list that I could be super willing to bring back. And that's probably a good thing, because if you take a look at our cap space, we got 3.3. So, yeah, nobody's really that expensive, but we don't have the money to do that in the first place. We're paying a lot of guys a lot of money. So we don't have to worry about contracts. We're probably just going to let all those guys walk, if we're being totally honest. Mock draft number 2, where are those Oklahoma State teammates going? They're going back-to-back, at least right now. They're both projected to be top 5 picks. What their true talent is, we'll have to wait and see. I'll probably use my private workouts in week 11. I'll probably use it on those two guys so that we can figure out exactly how good they are. But I think we can set the regional focus, and it has cornerback as expertise and as a strength. So we're definitely going to use corner as our national focus, because I really want to know how good all these corners are, because we could use maybe 2 good corners, especially because we're going to lose Levi Wallace to free agency after the season. Is the team playing up with morale? That's a big question. Or are we playing just like the same? It looks like we don't have either good morale or bad morale. That's fine, but I'd like to see Kenny Pickett develop. He is up 1 overall, so he's a 71 now. I really want him to have a good second half of the season and develop, and we might end up going to Kansas City's playbook. We know it works, so we might have to go to it if we struggle in year number 1, just to kind of further Kenny Pickett's development, because it worked with Justin Fields. You saw in the no trading video, no trading rebuild, it worked with Justin Fields, so why wouldn't it work with Kenny Pickett? I don't know. I'm going to simulate to the end of the season, the year 1 playoffs. I don't know if we'll be a part of them, maybe as like the final wildcard team, maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. I'll see you guys then. We've made it to the end of season 1. We're at the playoffs. We didn't have a good season. We actually only won 1 more game since the halfway mark, where we were 3-3. We went 4-13 on the year, which means the Browns finished 5-12. They did better than us, and they had 1 win at the start. So, not a good year for the black and gold here in Pittsburgh. A lot of down morale. Kenny Pickett is a true 73 overall, so that's something to be happy about. But I think that the playbook just wasn't the right situation. Philadelphia is a good team, and they have their playbooks are good, but not for a team like us. Kansas City's playbook kind of works a little bit better, so I think I'm just going to go and straight up switch it right now. We're going to rock Kansas City's playbook for next season. I think the Niner playbook will be good for the defense still. We could always go to Dallas, just because we know Dallas's works. But we are going to go to the Kansas City playbook for the offense. And I'll make sure the scheme fits are right as well before we start simulating season 2. But season 1 didn't necessarily go our way, but that's not a bad thing, because we're going to have a top pick at least, and we can decide on getting one of those corners or one of the defensive ends or something like that. We're still going to stick with Kenny Pickett, even though there probably is going to be some good quarterbacks in this class, judging by what I was seeing at week 11. There could be some interesting ones. And look at that. The Niners are in the Super Bowl against the Raiders. The Raiders. Who's going to win it? I'm picking the 49ers. Hard to go against McCaffrey and Debo and Nick Bosa and all those guys, Fred Warner. And it is 31-28. Niners win Super Bowl 1. Again, not Super Bowl 1. It's the first Super Bowl in this rebuild. Who won all the awards? We've got Javon Hargrave wins MVP of the Super Bowl. So it must have been something along the lines of a forced fumble, pickup, touchdown, something like that. Usually that's how defensive players get the MVP in Madden. MVP of the league goes to Patrick Mahomes, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald. No surprise there. Offense, defense players of the year. And then Jack Campbell and Rashee Rice are your rookies of the year. So no awards for the Steelers in year 1, but we don't really have anybody that would fit that. I mean, Joey Porter maybe could have won Defensive Rookie of the Year, but that's really the only award that we were going to have any shot at anyway. Kenny Pickett's not winning MVP or Offensive Player of the Year or anything like that. I guess George Pickens, you could have argued, could have won Offensive Player of the Year if he was in the right system. We're into the off-season period. Remember, we don't have a lot of money. We have about $9 million, which is more than what we had at the midseason mark. So we will accept the option on Najee Harris, and we will decide on what to do with these guys. Desmond King and Levi Wallace are just 29, and they're not good overalls, so they're probably going to get out of here. There's not a whole lot that I want to bring back, so I think we're just going to let everybody walk, not have to waste any of our money, and I don't even know if we'll sign any free agents, really. We might just take season 2 as a lost year as well, simply because we're trying to save our money for maybe year 3. We could probably restructure some contracts. Maybe that would free up some money. Austin Eckler, we don't necessarily need. Nobody wants to be here at all. At least the top free agents don't. We don't need Mike Williams. I mean, we could use Mike Williams, but we don't have the money to pay Mike Williams. Bobby Wagner, we don't want. Michael Pierce would be intriguing, but probably not. We could get Khalil Mack again, but we're not going to do that. I've gotten him too many times recently in rebuilds. The only guy that I'm intrigued by is Devin White, and we don't have the money, or we don't have simply the interest. So we are just gonna ride it out. We're not gonna sign anybody in free agency, and we might just have to chalk year number 2 up to another development season for Kenny Pickett, Freiermuth, Pickens, all those guys on the offense, and hope that TJ Watt doesn't lose a year and retires or something, because he's going to be going to his age 30 season, year 3, so it'll be interesting. Let's go to the next period. I need to check the salary and actually see who we are paying, because I know we're paying TJ Watt. I think we're paying Cam Hayward a lot of money as well. Let me take a look at the salaries. Who's eating up all the money? TJ Watt, I knew, was taking a lot of the money, obviously. Minka Fitzpatrick's costing a lot of money. Cam Hayward's on the last year of his deal, and he's making a ton of money. I don't even know if we re-sign him. He's down to a 77. Highsmith is making a big contract. Deontay Johnson's making a lot of money. Our starting right tackle's making a good amount. Ogunjobi. Like, some of these guys we don't necessarily even need. Like, we don't need James Daniels making that much money. We don't need Ogunjobi making that much money. Mitch Trubisky's making way too much money to sit on our bench. It's an interesting thing. It is an interesting thing, the Steelers' salary system, or salary situation. As we ride into the draft period of year number 1, this is where we build the foundation. I really hope some of those corners are elite, especially that top one. Because if we have a top corner in the class, then we are going to be looking pretty darn spicy. I used my workouts in week 11 on Trayvon Hales, on Mike Burrell, I think, and then I used it on another defensive lineman. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Justin Dunn. I used it on those guys just because I wanted to know a little bit more about them. Justin Dunn ends up not being as good as I once predicted him to be, or once thought he could be, so that's intriguing. What about the top guy, Trayvon Hales? How good does he look now? His finesse moves aren't great. He's a decent enough athlete. I bet paired alongside TJ Watt, he probably would play better, but I don't know if he's a top 5 pick. Tony Hancock, 6'1" man corner, good stats physically. He looks pretty good, but is he also a top 5 pick? I don't know. I might have to use my thing to officially know, but I don't know if he is a top 5 pick or not. There's some pretty good tackles in this class, I will say that. There are some pretty good tackles in this class, but I also saw some pretty good corners, like Lynn Blanton as well, who maybe is better physically, but not as good coverage-wise or skill-wise as the top corner, Hancock. But there was another guy down here that also looked good. Where's he at? It's not John Rhodes. There was another corner that I saw who looked pretty decent. He must have fallen. Yeah, it was Devontae Felix. He fell really far. Okay. Not shocking, or not sure why he fell. Maybe because he's not a great athlete. But he looks pretty good technically. He doesn't know how to play rec. but he's got good zone coverage. He's got good man coverage. He looks like an interesting player. What about Benjamin Gilmore? Or no, not Gilmore, Gallimore. Not an amazing athlete and pretty similar to other players around here. Earl Meadows, 6'2". There's not like a generational corner in this class, and that's not a bad thing. This guy looks pretty decent physically. I'm going to use my stuff on Tony Hancock just because I want to know for sure if he's a top 5 talent, because then we can kind of figure out how many or how good this class is going to be if we know if he's a top 5 talent or not. I'm going to use it on Benjamin Gallimore and Devontae Felix. Those are the guys that I want to know more about. So those are the 3 focus players or private workouts we're going to call in. And I need to also take a look at our draft positioning. Where are we picking? I could have used the mock draft, but might as well take a look here. We are picking at pick 5. Okay. Pick 5, top 5 pick. That's good. That is pretty good. How did the rest of the league shape out? Niners went 16-1 and won the championship. So no team won more or lost more than 4 games. We were just kind of in a, or won more than 4 games, I should say. We were kind of in a battle for mid, a battle for bad. Packers, Falcons, Giants, Commanders, they all were worse than us, but all had the same record. So a lot of teams disappointing this year. We will advance to the draft, and I will take a look at those corners, and we'll take a look at the mock draft to figure out if we need to trade up or not. So let's do this. I will take a look at the players first before we see the mock draft. And we know for a fact that Hancock is a top 5 talent. He is a top 5 talent. We know that Gallimore's a round 1, and Devontae Felix is also a top 5. So 2 corners in the top 5 talent, true talent. That's very interesting. Very interesting. That means that there's only 3 other players in the entire class that are top 5 that aren't corners. And it's probably Sitton, Hales, maybe a quarterback. Wow, that's very interesting. I'm going to add these corners to my board just so I know for sure who they are. I don't forget about them. And I'm going to take a look at that mock draft. We're going to find out where they're going. So they have, oh, this is crucial. We pick at pick 5, and the corner is not, Hancock is not up here. Hancock is actually, where is Hancock at? Tony Hancock is all the way down at 18. Wow. Okay. And the other corner, Felix, he fell out of the first round. We might be able to get out of here with both of these corners and maybe even somebody else. Maybe even an offensive lineman, because they have us taking Zach Lumen, a right tackle from Louisville. Looks like a pretty good athlete. He can block pretty well all around. He looks like a solid player. I wouldn't be mad taking him. I certainly would not be mad taking him. Obviously, this guy looks a little bit better, but we don't know how official his blocking stats are. We just know that they're A to C. They could be A's, but we don't know for sure. Maybe I should have done one on him. I just didn't think that we would be able to be in this spot. Very interesting situation to be put in. Do we trade down is the question. Do we trade down? Start drafting. Let's start drafting. We're going to pause the draft. Number 1 pick is going to be Trayvon Hales out of Oklahoma State. Sitton goes 2 to the Falcons. Giants take David Thomas at 3. And the Commanders take Mike Burrell at 4. We are up at 5. We could take the tackle. We certainly could take the tackle here. Zach Lumen. But we could trade down and still wind up with Tony Hancock. I think that's the best situation to be in. So the way that we do this is we can't trade the 49ers. It's not going to be good. Wow, we're not getting that much value for the number 5th pick, really? Or number 5 pick? I thought we would get like a bunch of first round picks. Let's trade back with the Saints. I feel like we can get a good amount of value trading with the Saints. So let's call up the Saints. They don't have any cap space, so we can't trade any players, but that's not a big deal. We'll trade pick 5. And I will trade down to pick 9. I'll ask for their second-round pick, and I want a first-round pick the next 2 years. Is that going to be good value? It'd be great value, but they're not going to do it. I'll take away the 2026 pick, and they're still not going to do it. Really? I got to come away with 2 first-round picks. That's just a guarantee. So maybe we take away their second, and we ask for a... Man, they don't have any draft picks, really. Maybe the Saints are a bad idea to trade with. Maybe they could just give me 3 firsts? No? Just the 2 firsts? I can't come away with just 2 firsts. That feels not right. I can give you a 2026 third-round pick. That bumps the value up. What about if I throw in their second-round pick now? Okay, we're in the orange. We're starting to have conversations. I can switch out the third for a second in 2026. We're still in the orange. Wow, okay. I can give you a third in 2025. Into the yellow. Man, that's like, why do they have so much value in that second-round pick? I can give you a 4 this year and a 5 next year. Into the green. I don't want to give up another first-round pick. I feel like I got to try to sweeten the pot enough, but I got to keep my first-round picks. Maybe we don't need the first-round pick in 2026. Are we going to be good by then? That's going to be year number 3. I'll give up my 2026 first. Okay, that gets us real close. Maybe I don't have to give up the second then. Okay, maybe I do have to give up the second. I'll give up the second in 2026, right? That's what it was. And then I'll give a third in 2025. For 2 firsts and a second is declined. Come on, Saints. Stop being stingy. Stop being stingy. Oh my god, okay. We have one more pick spot we can go. My first, my second, and my third in 2026? I guess. And it's still not even accepted. Wow. They are really being stingy. They are really being stingy here. 3 threes, a 2, and 2 firsts for 2 first-round picks and a second. That's all we're getting. I feel like I'm getting swindled now. Wow. Do I even want to do this? No. This is stupid. I can't give up that much for the Saints picks. That's just stupid. We're talking crazy at that point. Who's got a pick around them? I think the Texans. Yeah, the Texans have 7. Okay, we can talk with the Houston Texans. If they give me their picks, how's that? Okay. So now we can talk about the 2026 second. How about I give the 2026 first? Because I was fine giving the 2026 first to the Saints. Wow, that didn't really do that much value. I'll give the 2025 third. Or maybe not. Let me add the first back in there. We're into the yellow. I'll give the second in 2026. Am I really... Is this really that bad of a trade offer? They're giving up 2 first-round picks and a second this year. I feel like I'm not really giving up, or I'm not really getting back a crazy amount of value. Maybe I'm wrong. Two 1s, 2 3s, and a 2. I feel like I'm giving the same value that I gave to the Saints, just for a pick higher, a couple picks higher. I wasn't even accepted. Okay. We're going to forget about the second-round pick. I can't forget about the first. I have to walk away with 2 first-round picks. That's just something that has to happen. So, I have to walk away with 2 first-round picks. I'll give a 3 in 2025. Trade declined. I'll give a 3 in 2026. Trade decline. Why is it so difficult to trade picks? I didn't raise the trade difficulty, did I? It should just be on normal. It feels like I shouldn't have to give up this much to get a two ones. This is wild. I'm not asking for that much, am I? At this point, I might just take Hancock at 5. I mean, I don't feel like I'm asking for that much value back. I'm asking for 2 ones. This is weird. Huh. You know what? I'm not trading back. I don't know why number 5 is not valuable enough. I'll just take Hancock at pick 5. I don't know what's going on with the trade. I feel like it should be easier than that. But we're going to take Tony Hancock with the 5th overall pick. I just didn't want to have to deal with the trades anymore. He's 92 speed, 94 excel, 96 change of direction. He's a franchise corner. That's what he is. He is a franchise corner. And I hope that Felix is there at pick 5 of the 2nd round, because if he is, then we're going to walk away with 2 top 5 corners. And we know that Gallimore is, and Devontae Felix is here as well. I'm going to take Devontae Felix. We're walking away with 2 franchise corners. Boom. Devontae Felix and Tony Hancock paired alongside Joey Porter. We've got our cornerstones of the cornerback position. I mean, they both are pretty similar, but top 5 picks right off the bat. I like that. All right, so now we've got our 2 corners. Now we can go and fill out the rest of the team with the rest of the picks. Don't need any more corners. We probably need to focus on offensive line. Let's look at the offensive line, what's available. No left tackles available. But there could be some guards. Carlos Perez. Doesn't look amazing, but we're in the 3rd round. Can't forget that. Wayne McCain. What a name. Doesn't look amazing, but could be good. We've got some interesting centers on the board. Marshall Spearman. That's a pretty good name. If he was a linebacker, Hall of Fame name. He looks okay. What about Casey Hazelwood? Ooh, Casey Hazelwood looks really good physically and looks okay with his technical skills. I think Casey Hazelwood is our guy in the 3rd round. We're going to take him. He's hidden development. He's got 84 strength, 79 jumping, 84 acceleration, 75 agility. He might be able to play a little bit of guard. He's got little short arms. He could play some guard for us. We might need him to. That's a solid pick in the 3rd round. We go 4th round. This is probably going to be my last pick that I make. We'll let the CPU handle the rest of it. We'll take another look at the center spot. Probably nobody that's going to be worth taking. Josh McCoy. The rest of the offensive line doesn't look great. Maybe there's a sneaky outside linebacker available. Is there like a fast outside linebacker? There's an elite speed. Eli Trammer, he's probably got normal development. What is he? He's a run stopper. I don't really like that archetype too much, but I'll keep an eye on him unless there's somebody better. Is there anybody that has better technical skills that maybe wants to be faster? Like Glenn Freeman. He's got bad power moves. He's a speed rushing outside linebacker with elite speed. Is he worth the pick more so than the other guy is? The guy that we just took a look at. But then we've got Roman Duvall, who looks better physically. What's his archetype? He's a pass coverage. Oh, man. We could move him to middle linebacker, I guess. Roman Duvall and Glenn Freeman both look pretty good in terms of just physical freaks, like specimen. They look pretty good. I think what I'm going to do, what was the other guy projected to go? Eli Trammer, he's a day 3 guy. We're in day 3. I think I'm going to go for Glenn Freeman. We're going to take him. He's only normal development. That's okay. We're in the 4th round. But then I kind of want to trade up and get the other dude as well. I don't know if they're probably both going to be normal development, but I kind of want to get them. They're just too much of a freak athlete to pass up on, I feel like. So I kind of want to just grab them and just have them on the team, because you never know. Maybe they develop. Maybe they turn into star development players if they have good seasons. The Rams are up, so we'll trade with them for their 4th round pick. It shouldn't be that difficult to trade up. 102. We will give them a 4 next year. Maybe that'll work. No. Okay. We could give them a player, I guess, because they have cap space, so. Let's see. Who do they want that I'm willing to give up? I'm willing to give up. I mean, I'd be willing to give up Cole Holcomb just because we'd be getting those linebackers in. But he's just over the cap, so they can't take him. I'd give up James Daniels, I guess. He's way over the cap. I didn't realize that he had that much money. I don't think there's anybody else that I'm willing to move on from that they can take on. So it's probably got to be draft picks. I'll give a 3rd next year. That's almost done. I'll give like a 6 in 2026. How's that? Trade accepted. So we move up. Now that might end up being a bad thing for us. Maybe these guys are both busts, but they're too much of a physical freak to pass up on, I feel like. So I'm going to go and grab them both. Roman Duval as well, coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he ends up being a hidden development player. So 1 out of 2 is not that bad, I'd have to say. 1 out of 2 is not that bad. And I'm actually going to simulate to pick 5, or round 5, because I want to see if that Trammer guy, Eli Trammer, is on the board. If he's not, we'll simulate out of it. If he is, I'll take him, because he looks like the best guy available out of the linebackers. He is still on the board. He's probably normal development, but he's got good elite speed, and he's got good enough like play rec and stuff. We're going to take him. He is only normal development. I'm not shocked by that. But getting some linebackers is really going to be helpful, because maybe even we move one down to the defensive line, or maybe we move TJ Watt down to the defensive line. That's also a possibility. We'll end the draft there, let the CPU handle the rest, and we will go into the draft recap. We know we got 2 top 5 talents, so they're going to be the two of the top 5 players in the class. It's just a matter of how good this class was. Are they going to be in the 80s? Are they going to be in the 70s? That's the big question. Here we go. Let's find out. 79-77 for the 2 corners. They're right up there already with Joey Porter. Hazelwood is a 72. Freeman ends up being a 65. That's kind of a miss. But then we do back it up with 71 overall Roman Duval, who has development traits. 69, nice, for Eli Trammer. They took a receiver, Cordell Stanford, at 70 overall, and then a running back in the 7th round. Okay, I don't have a problem with the draft. But the best player in the class was Dan Sitton. No surprise there. He looked really good. But we got ourselves the 2nd overall player in Tony Hancock. All the corners, it was the right tackle and then 4 corners. That's crazy. This was the year if you needed a quarterback, this was the year, because 4 corners and a tackle are the top 5 players in the class. And we got one of them in the 2nd round. I'd say that is a huge W. And I would not be surprised if Hancock has superstar or higher. I'm guessing Felix is going to only have star, but I would not be surprised if Hancock has more than that. Headed into year number 2, we'll take a look at the team. Remember, we have switched to Kansas City's playbook, so Kenny Pickett's going to get a chance to shine. The offensive line looking pretty interesting. We're going to generate the best lineup. Hazelwood is actually going to start over Cole, who is old and not good, so I'm fine with that. Sayamalu, James Daniels, Moore is going to be the right tackle. Stanford has a development trade, actually, so that's interesting. Good for him. And then we'll go to the defense. We should see Pat Freiermuth absolutely dominate in the Kansas City playbook. And then on defense, we've got our 2 rookie corners, 2 and 3. And maybe, I mean, Felix is a 75 safety, so maybe he even gets put at safety at some point in his career. You never know. And I'm actually going to put Duval as the number 2 middle linebacker so that he is getting as much playtime as possible. I want him to get as much playtime as possible. So that's what we're going to rock with unless we need to change our scheme. I did talk about changing the scheme, but we're 95% fit on defense, so we're not going to change defense. But maybe, just maybe, we could go to a spread or West Coast zone. I think we're going to go to the spread offense for our offensive scheme. And hopefully that will help everybody out. No, I want George Pickens to be the number 1 guy, so there we go. Our rookie will start at center, and that's how the team will look in year number 2. I hope that we're better. And I hope that we get to see a lot of development from Kenny Pickett. But I will see you guys at the midseason mark of year number 2. And I'm praying we got some good news. All right, midseason mark of year number 2. Not going the way that I thought it would. We're 1-6, and we are in prime position for another top pick in the draft this year. I'm not really sure why. We're running some pretty good playbooks. Maybe Kenny Pickett just really isn't the guy. I'm not 100% sure what's going on. I am going to move Stanford up to number 3 so that he gets even more playtime. And we can hopefully have him develop because he's probably going to be a star development receiver. But we're looking for... Hancock is a star. Remember, he was a top 5 pick. He was the higher overall player. He was our first. And then in the second round, Felix is a superstar. Devontae Felix is a superstar development player, and we got him in the second round. I am a drafting god. And Duval, I just noticed, is a star. So that's pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. The defense is coming together, but we still have a ton of work to do. Same thing on the offensive line. And actually, Hazelwood's a better guard than he is a center. So maybe we'll have to draft another center and we move Hazelwood over to guard. That'll be an intriguing one. I'm going to simulate to the end of the season, and we're probably not going to be involved in the playoffs, judging by how this has gone. Unfortunately, the strengths of the class are not what our star scout is good in. At least they're not they're not the weaknesses either. But it's wide receiver, cornerback, and quarterback are the strengths of this class. That's not great because we're not really in the market for anything like that anymore. Even though we could always use a wide receiver. I'm going to actually use my positional scout on defensive tackles? Maybe. I don't know yet. We could use it on tackles. I think that's what I'm going to do. We're going to have him scout defensive tackles. I know that's not a strength of the class, but it's a strength that we need. We have a weakness at defensive tackle, so we need some tackles. And I will see you guys at the end of the season, maybe with a 1-win football team. We'll find out. We've made it to the end of year number 2. Playoff time is here. We finished one game better than last year. We finished at 5-12. It's the progression for me. 5-12 on the year. Not a great season, but hey, it's only year 2. We're building for the future. We have our future corners already figured out. That's not a problem. Hazelwood is a star development player. That's a huge thing. That's cool. I like to see that. On the defensive side of things, you can see some good development. Devontae Felix is going to end up being a stud, isn't he? I hope that he doesn't end up being better than Hancock because that's going to be a little awkward, but I kind of do think he's going to be better than Hancock. That'll be pretty funny. TJ Watt's a 98 overall, or 99 overall, actually. He's a true 99 now. That's good. And this could be the last year for Cam Hayward, I think. Because unless he's not expensive, we are just not going to sign him. So hopefully he retires. I'd hate to leave him without a contract because he's a Steeler legend. And he's a Buckeye legend. I don't want to just cast him aside, but he's not very good anymore. At least not in Madden he is. And the Niners are back in the Super Bowl back-to-back years against the Browns this time instead of the Raiders. So the Browns were 5-12 last year, and now this year they're in the Super Bowl. So a turnaround can happen in just a season. And they won a Super Bowl. The Browns won 5 games last year, ladies and gentlemen. And they went and won the Super Bowl. So don't tell me turnarounds can't happen in one season. We could be in the Super Bowl next year. That's the goal. It's not probably going to happen, but it could definitely be a possibility. I'm not putting it out of the realm. Nick Chubb, Chubby Time, is your MVP of the Super Bowl. Josh Allen wins MVP of the league, and I just realized that last season, I never showed you guys the stats. That's on me. I don't usually forget that. I must have just been thinking about other stuff. So I will show you guys the stats for this year. Kenny Pickett, 3,700 yards, 29 touchdowns, 12 picks. Not a good season from Kenny, but he's trying. He's trying. 809 yards and 4 touchdowns for Najee. Remember, the running backs just don't get utilized that much in the Kansas City offense. Freiermuth obviously is going to dominate because he's in the Travis Kelce role. 8 touchdowns for him. Robinson, I'd like to see not get this many touches because I want to see Pickens, even Johnson, and Stanford get those touches, but I guess not. We might have to just move on from Allen Robinson as a entirely. Cole Holcomb leads the team with tackles and 4 picks too. That's crazy. DeMonte Casey at 114, a lot of tackles. Ramon Duvall in his rookie season, 112. Tony Hancock at 94. Tackle for loss leader was Cam Hayward with 20, so maybe he proven me wrong. I mean, 20 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. He's still producing, even though he's a 70-something overall. Sack leader was Larry Ogunjobi with 7. Okay. TJ Watt only had 2? Oh, man. Maybe I have to go back to a different defense. Because TJ Watt should not only have 2 sacks. That's disrespectful. Joey Porter had 2 picks. Felix had 2 picks. Huh. We might not be running 49er defense next season. We might be running something different because I can't have TJ Watt only getting 2 sacks or whatever he had. We move to the offseason. This is where we find out if Cam Hayward retired or not because we'll have a ton of money available. How much money are we going to have this year? It just takes one offseason. And there it is, the $93 million. That is exactly what we needed because we got to pay Deontay Johnson. I like to keep him back. Freiermuth is now a superstar. What did I tell you? He's going to start flying up the boards. Kenny Pickett, his option is available, so we will accept that. He is up to a 76, so he's developing. Casey's actually a superstar as well. I'll get him re-signed right now. I know he's 32, but he wants to be here, and he's a superstar development player, so might as well bring him back. So we do that. I'm going to bring back Deontay Johnson. He's a very valuable piece. He doesn't think that we have a franchise quarterback, but I'd like to tell him that we do. We do have a franchise QB on our team, and I can't just go and change that. I'd have to trade for a franchise quarterback. So we are going to have to pay Deontay Johnson a heavy amount of money, but he accepts. Freiermuth wants to be here mostly, so we will lock up Pat Freiermuth for a good amount of time. And he says he's coming back as well. $65 million to decide on the last few players. There is Cam Hayward, and he wants to be here. I'm going to give him a new contract simply because he's Cam Hayward. But this one shouldn't hurt us as much as his old one. He says he's going to test free agency. Wow, the disrespect. And I'm not franchise tagging him for that much money. We're going to let Allen Robinson walk, and we're going to let everybody else walk as well. We might sign James Daniels back just to be another guard for us because we need another body. So I'm going to offer James Daniels about this, and he's coming back. Okay, so I'm going to actually go into free agency and try to re-sign Cam Hayward. I doubt he's going to have any offers because he's super old. So I am going to go into free agency and offer him a contract to try to re-sign him, try to bring him back. He didn't like the contract I was offering him right there, but maybe he'll accept it once we get into free agency, once he realizes that he doesn't have any offers. Or maybe he will. I don't know. Let's see. We got ourselves Chubby Time, who just won Super Bowl MVP. Oh boy, that's tempting. Greg Newsome, but remember, we don't need any corners. We're locked up on corner with Joey Porter and the 2 rookies. So corner is fine. Judon's too old, but pairing him with J.J. Watt would be crazy. There's J.O.K. We just got him in the past rebuild, the no trading rebuild. But getting him again, he would fit this team pretty well, wouldn't he? He would fit this team pretty well. As for, like, receivers, we have Deontay Johnson we just brought back. We have George Pickens, and we have Stanford, the rookie. Well, now second-year player. So we have 3 receivers that I like. Bringing in a 4th one wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Maybe like a Rashad Bateman on a cheap deal. Or I guess maybe even Kendrick Bourne. But is it really worth it at that point? Tight end we don't need. We have Freiermuth. I don't know where to spend this money. I really think JOK is probably our go-to. We could bring in Odafe Owe, who, to be fair, has the same development trait, but he is a year older. Ooh, Jerome Baker, but he's only 83 at 28. That's probably not a good idea. Why does Judon have 4 offers at 33? That's kind of crazy to me. Zadarius Smith. Brandon Sheriff. Brandon Sheriff doesn't have any offers. I'd throw a little deal at him. I gotta remember to figure out where Cam Hayward is. He's a left end, right? Or is he he's a right end. Where is Cameron Hayward? Here he is. He doesn't have any offers. He wants to be back. I will give you a deal, Cam. I'm going to offer you the exact same deal I just offered you. And hopefully you'll accept that. What's his interest in it? I mean, look at that. It's 4-bar green. I don't know why he didn't accept it the first time. I am going to offer Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's going to be our big fish this free agency. Because pairing him alongside J.J. Watt is really going to help this defense, especially when we get out of Niners defense. we are battling with a bunch of teams and not at the top. Okay. So we're going to have to pay Owusu Koromoa even more money than I was expecting. That's not a bad thing. There we go. We jump ahead of everybody else. I could even throw a cheeky little offer at Adafeowe if I'm being real crazy. We'll see what else I like in here. So we've got 2 offers now. We're not going to go after Judon. I do want to go after Sheriff. That's right. Brandon Sheriff. Let's go off after him. I'll give him a 2-year deal because he's kind of old. And he likes that. Okay, so we have a good amount of money still available. That's going to be the only guy that we throw an offer at on the offensive line. We don't need David Njoku. We don't need any receivers. We don't need Nick Chubb, but it would be awesome to have him. And we're not going to go for a quarterback. We don't need any safeties. Although, KZ is old. He's 32. But we just re-signed him to a new contract. I think I am going to offer Adafeowe. I've been persuaded by my own self. Yeah, that's the end of that. I've been persuaded by my own self to offer him a contract. So those are going to be the 4 guys we offer, are targeted. I think we can get all of them. Let's hit the evaluation. Everybody but Cam Hayward signed. Did they all sign with us? They did. We bring in Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Brandon Scherf, and Adafeowe. And is Cam Hayward coming back too? Cam Hayward is coming back as a role player, backup veteran in the locker room. And that's going to be the only free agents that we sign. I'd like to keep a little bit of the money left. Huge additions to this team. Really going to help us out. Scherf is actually going to move over and play right tackle. I don't know if I like that. I might move Hazelwood over to right tackle, actually. Or we draft a right tackle. I don't know. I haven't fully decided yet. And, oh my god! I just realized the CPU just drafted an X-Factor wide receiver in Cordell Stanford. They drafted this dude in the 5th round? Was it the 6th round or the 5th round that they took this guy? Awards. He was drafted in the 6th round, pick 5 of the 6th round. And he's an X-Factor receiver. Wow. Okay. Not what I expected. But I'm not mad at it. Wow, okay. That's wild. That is absolutely wild. What do we do? Actually, Cole Holcomb went up to... Mink is a superstar, X-Factor. We're going to move Ogunjobi because Keanu Benton's just not really developing right now. So we're going to move Ogunjobi to D-tackle. He's going to play D-tackle. And then we're going to have to figure out this linebacking core. So let's save that. Ogunjobi will play D-tackle. He's played it before, so it's not a shock. He will be the starting D-tackle. Then we will have probably Owe move to defensive line so that Koromoa starts. Where is oh, there's Duval. So we're gonna have, okay, let's switch this up. Duval's gonna play middle linebacker 2 like he did last year. I don't know why he's down in the depth chart not starting. He's gonna play middle linebacker 2 over Robinson for sure. So there's Ramon Duval. And then we are going to switch Owe to defensive line because he's an 81 overall, and that's actually higher than what he is as a linebacker. He's only an 80 as a linebacker. So we're gonna move him to end, and then we will have that works out a little bit better because although we still have no room for JOK to start because Highsmith is here. Maybe Highsmith can play defensive line? Because now with Holcomb being a star, I want him to play a little bit. But maybe Cam Hayward needs to drop to a backup role. Because we got to have JOK play. We just got him. So maybe we got to have Alex Highsmith. I'm going to turn him into a right end. We're going to see what his overall is. I hope it is not too bad. If it is too bad, then we'll move him back and we'll figure out something else. He's actually pretty good. It says he's an 83, but that's just because everybody's playing down with morale. But we're going to keep Highsmith there. The defense looks a lot better now. We do need to figure out the safety spot. We kept KZ around just because he's a superstar. We need to figure that out at some point. We could move Felix over to free safety, actually. But we're pretty good there. And you know what? I might actually... No, we'll go another season with KZ at free safety, or strong safety. I was going to say I might sign a free agent corner and then move Felix over to safety. But we'll keep Felix at corner for right now. And I think that's what our free agency is going to be. The defense gets a little better. I do think so. I do think this defense is a little bit better, and we're gonna move out of Niner playbook. We're gonna go to Dallas's playbook because Dallas should help. What's his face? Or is it that? It should help T.J. Watt get a lot more sacks because he'd play the Micah Parsons role. So our scheme fit is not spread anymore. It is the West Coast zone run. 82 on that. 95 on the base 4-3. I don't have a problem with that. That just allows for the linebackers to not play as much. What is the Dallas playbook? All right, so we're rocking Kansas City, Dallas. Again, that's usually my go-to anyway, because those are just two of the best playbooks in the game. Okay, moving on to the draft. We're going to have another top pick because we only won 5 games this year. So it's not like we have to worry about that too much. But I don't really know where to go. I don't know where to go with this. We need offensive line, specifically tackles. But we also need a little bit of everything. We need safety. We need a right tackle for sure, so that Brandon Scherf isn't playing right tackle. And we need a safety, a strong safety. And we need defensive line, specifically D-tackle. But the good thing is, I used my regional scouting, or my national scout is scouting D-tackle, so we should know pretty much the best players at D-tackle position, so that's good. Leonard Gregory's not amazing. Let's go check out the D-tackles. Oh, perfect. We know basically everything we need to know about these guys. It's not a deep class, but we know about him. Lance Fox, I am intrigued by. I took a look at him during the Week 11 stuff. He looked pretty good. Leonard Gregory's a round 1 guy. LaCambrick Anderson we could snag in the first round as well. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Who do I want to use the rest of my points on? How good are the strong safeties in this class? There is a Curtis Noel, who is a hybrid with great speed. His hit power could be good. I might use one on him just to know a little bit more about him. But what about this guy, Junior Young? I mean, I think the other guy's better, Curtis Noel. Greg St. Louis? St. Louis, maybe? A white? A white? I'm intrigued in the second round. I think I'm going to use one on you, and then we're going to go and scout, I don't know, maybe like a tackle or something. Let's scout Sammy Dawkins down the board. He's a guard. Actually, no. We don't need a guard. We need a tackle more than anything. So right tackles, Corey Webb maybe. Yeah, let's scout Corey Webb. There we go. Perfect. So we got 2 safeties in a corner. I think that's pretty good. But what do we need to get in the draft? Where are we even picking? That's the question. I don't even know. I have absolutely no idea where we're picking. Where we're Kenny Pickett. Okay, let's take a look. Take a little look-skis at the prospects. First off, I want to make sure that I know these guys. So we got these guys up to 90%. Curtis Noel looks like a really solid safety. He's pretty average all around, pretty solid all around. But then Greg comes in and he's not great with his man coverage. If we miss out on Curtis Noel, I wouldn't be opposed to taking Greg, but I think Curtis Noel is obviously the better pick. And then the right tackle that we scouted was Corey Webb. And he is a pretty good athlete. Not a great run blocker at all. But good news, we're in Kansas City playbook. You don't need to run block that much. Okay. So we need to take a look at the mock draft, figure out where we're picking first off. We are picking at pick number 4. So we picked at 5 last year. We're picking at 4 this year. They have us taking a quarterback. I'm not taking a quarterback. We're sticking with Mr. Pickett. But this is the guy that I was super intrigued by, Lance Fox. He's a really good athlete, and he's pretty solid all around. I think he might be our guy in the first round. And then, do they have the safety going at all? Curtis Noel's going 25. I might trade up to get him. Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it. Like I said, I would not be opposed to getting a Greg guy, but I don't think he's as good as Curtis is. So we pick at pick number 4. We're going to take the D tackle. He looks really good. Mike Polite. What a quarterback name. Here we go. Pick number 4. We are taking Lance Fox. I really hope he's worth it. He is a hidden development, 91 strength defensive tackle. We need a D tackle, and we got a need right there. Beautifully done. Absolutely beautifully done. Now we will move to the end of the first round. We need a safety and a tackle, and I don't know if we're going to be able to get either of them. Or at least we might not be able to get the guys that I want. We might have to go for like secondary options. Nico Guerrero. They said that he was going to get picked around pick 25. Do we believe them? Because we're coming up on that. All right, I think it was the Giants that had him, that were projected to take him. But trading up in the first round is going to be pretty difficult. Do we just ride it out with the pick? I think we just ride it out with the pick. They do take him. I figured that they would. I didn't really want to trade up. I just didn't think it was the right move. He may end up being pretty good, but it wasn't the right idea. Greg is still on the board, but he's also 2 to 3, so he could still be there when we pick in the 3rd round. I doubt it, but it's possible. The only other right tackle on the board is Brett Walden, and he doesn't look amazing. All right, so what about centers? There is this guy right here, Richard Pearman, 6'1", 313, good athlete, and a solid player. We might take him. But then we've got this guy, Ben Green, who is around 2 to 3, good athlete as well. Actually, I think the center might be better skill-wise than him. He looked a little bit better. Richard Pearman looked a little bit better skill-wise than the guard did. Yeah, I think I like Richard Pearman better. We're going to take Richard Pearman. Boom! That's a big one right there. Hidden development center, 91 strength. So we got an interior player and another center, but we can move him to a guard spot if we need to. Into the 4th round after we don't have a 3rd round pick because I traded it. We move into the 4th round, and this is probably going to be the last pick that I make. So how does the safety spot look? Our guy's gone, but I figured that's how it was going to be. The best guy on the board is David Dillon. He's the 2nd fastest guy left, but he's got no finesse moves, no man coverage. He's a zone safety with B hit power. He's probably a whiff, but he could develop into something. So we're going to take him, and that's going to be the last pick that I make. I'm going to let the CPU handle because they drafted me a X-Factor wide receiver last draft in the 6th round. So I'm going to let them handle the rest. They can have it. They can absolutely have it. Do what you want. Just make sure to draft me another X-Factor player. Okay, I'm really hoping this D tackle is good. We spent a top 5 pick on him, so I really want him to be good. He is a 76 overall. I'll take that. Pearman's a 72. David Dillon's ends up being a 63. That's fine, I guess. We still have the safety KZ, so it's not a big deal. Jaden Carson is a 79 overall. He's the best player in the class. Another class where 2 corners are the top corners. Crazy. But we got a guy right up there in the top 10. I'll take it. I'll take it in a position that we needed at D tackle. I'd say that's a pretty solid draft. We're getting better. I think year number 3 is going to start to change. I mean, we went from 4 wins in year 1 to 5 wins in year 2. How many wins are we going to get in year 3? I don't know. We'll find out, because I am going to actually move. I mean, I can't deny the fact that Hazelwood is our 78 overall right guard. That's crazy. That is really crazy. Who's this little freak down here? Michael Townsend. They drafted a hidden development tight end, so the CPU is killing it in drafting. They have James Daniels now moved over to right tackle. I don't necessarily hate that. Scherf comes in to play guard again. The offense is looking pretty solid. Then on the defense, I want Fox to play over Benton and over Ogunjobi. And I like the way that we're rocking with this. Dylan's going to get the start, or get the move over Gillespie. I think this team is going to be good. I really do. I see some good progression in our future, and I see this team winning 7, 8 games next year, maybe even 9 games, making the playoffs, sneaking in. We'll find out. I'll simulate to the midseason mark of year number 3, and I'll show you guys our progress. Hopefully it's good progress. We've made it to the midseason mark of year number 3, and it seems like we're finally starting to see some development from Kenny Pickett, from the offense, and from the playbook, really. 5-2 at the midseason mark is pretty good, considering we won 5 games all of last season. So we're on a little bit of an uptick, you could say. And the Browns, after winning the Super Bowl, are now 1-5. That's pretty crazy. But we're seeing some good development from everybody. No big morale boost except for Pickett is playing up to a 79. That's nice to see. And then on the defense, we're not seeing a whole ton of great momentum, but we're getting there. We're playing solid. That's all you can really ask for. We're winning games. Pickett's finally starting to come into his own, maybe a year too late, but he's still figuring it out. We've got ourselves a stud second-year player in Cordell Stanford, who's an X factor that I didn't even draft, but I'm going to say that I did because I'm a drafting god, and you can't prove otherwise. So I'm happy. I am happy with the way the team is playing. Negotiations for this upcoming offseason, TJ needs a new contract, and that is going to absolutely destroy us. Wow. Okay. So not a whole lot of other guys need new contracts. We're going to accept Broderick's player option. But that will kill us. We're probably not going to bring back Cole Holcomb because we do have Ramon Duval, or whatever the heck his name is. I forget his name. We're going to re-sign Najee because he's not super expensive. We're going to re-sign George Pickens because we need George Pickens. But having TJ Watt come up for a new contract is absolutely going to destroy us. It's just that simple. It's gonna kill us contract-wise. But we have to bring him back. We can't just let him walk. How's that for George Pickens' contract? That's exactly what he wants. He's coming back. Luckily, TJ wants to be here, but at 30 years old and a contract this expensive, it's gonna kill us. He's happy to come back. We re-signed TJ Watt. That is a massive contract that we just gave him. An absolutely massive contract. We're gonna also re-sign Najee Harris to a good contract. He's coming back for like 4 years, I think. And we still end up having $25 million. We're still probably not going to bring back Cole Holcomb just so that we can get some play time for our young middle linebacker that we drafted. But that crazy TJ Watt contract, absolutely insane. I'm going to simulate too. We actually have the number 2 ranked offense in the league, offensive points per game, so that's cool. But I'm going to simulate to the end of the season. Judging by the way we started this year, I would be shocked if we didn't make the playoffs. So I'll see you guys at the end of the season, the year 3 playoffs. I expect us to be there. We've made it to the playoffs of year number 3, and we are officially a part of them. We win 11 games this year. Much better than what we did the previous 2 years. And we are going up against the team whose playbook we are using. Kansas City, at least on offense, the playbook that we're using. Kansas City's playbook. But Kenny Pickett, he's playing up to an 82. He's finally getting the respect, the morale that he needs. Najee Harris is playing up. The offensive line's looking a lot better. See what happens when you win. Everything starts coming together. And then on the defense, we still don't know what Fox's development trait is. I thought we would know by now. Little interesting there, but Duval will probably come and play middle linebacker for us in the future, unless we draft or sign a free agent middle linebacker, whatever happens. I don't know. But I'm liking this team. I think this team is pretty good. I think this team is ready to win a championship. Not this year, but I do think this team is ready to win a championship in the coming days. And it looks like Kenny Pickett even was second in the team in Second in the league in passing yards. 4,800, 34 touchdowns, 12 picks. A much better year from Kenny Pickett. I'm glad he's starting to develop and starting to become a real good player. 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns for Najee Harris. Had a really good season. 1,000-yard receivers. Ooh, and Cordell Stanford. If he didn't already have X Factor, he would have been an X Factor by now. Deontay Johnson might go up to X Factor. Freiermuth certainly will go up to X Factor with these numbers. And then defensively, 100 tackles for Holcomb. Maybe we do bring back Holcomb. I don't know. He's pretty expensive, though. Owusu Koromora had a 98. Porter had 82. We had a bunch of tackles for loss. Crazy amounts of tackles for loss. And the Dallas playbook brings T.J. Watt back to where he should be. 14 sacks. Highsmith actually had 13.5. Now he's on the defensive line. Hayward got a bunch. Lance Fox only had 3.5, but he doesn't really like he played much for some reason. And a bunch of picks. I'll take that. That's a pretty good defensive season. And we will move to the playoffs. We'll start simulating games here against the Kansas City Chiefs. I hope we can beat them. Let's see if we can beat the Chiefs. They're 10-7. They're having a little bit of a down year. I hope we can do it. We have a better defense than them. Wild card round. We do beat the Chiefs 35-21. That is a little shocking to me. I didn't actually think we were going to win. But I'll take it. I will take anything that is a W. That is for sure. Now we're going up against the Colts in the divisional round. It's a little bit of a tough matchup. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this or not. We'll see. Colts have a really good team on paper. I doubt we win this one. We do, 38-22 against the Colts. That's a pretty big upset. Colts were heavily favored on paper. And now we make it to the AFC title game in just year number 3 against the Baltimore Ravens. Rivalry in the AFC title game. What a rivalry playoff game this would be. Okay. AFC championship against the Ravens. I didn't think we'd get to this point. And we don't go any further. They must have won on a walk-off field goal. 18-17. We lose in the AFC title game, but that is really good progress. Remember, we're only in year number 3. So making it to the AFC title game already is really, really good progress. A little bit of an upset losing to Baltimore there, especially by 1 point. Kind of upsetting. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Is it going to be the Cowboys or the team that beat us, the Baltimore Ravens? I have no idea. I'd guess Cowboys, but we don't know. It is the Ravens blew out the Cowboys. Wow, 45-28. They dominated Dallas. You don't usually see that against Dallas in simulation. That is crazy from Baltimore. Lamar Jackson obviously deserves to win the Super Bowl MVP. No awards for us. Patrick Mahomes gets an MVP in the league again. No surprises there. And we go to our third off season. Where we can hopefully build this team up to even better than AFC champions or AFC participators, because we didn't win the championship. But we are looking to. We got to accept the option on Broderick Jones, so he's coming back. And Cole Holcomb actually has dropped down a ton of money, because wasn't he like 30 million earlier in the video when I looked? He's dropped down a ton of money. That makes me want to sign him, because we still have a good amount of cash. So that makes me really not too upset about signing him, but he's just not interested in signing. Wow, I thought that I gave him a good offer. The franchise tag is 18.2. For a season of Cole Holcomb, I would probably rather try to get him back in free agency. I'm not going to franchise tag him. That'd just be a waste. So we're not going to re-sign Cole Holcomb in the negotiation period. But maybe if we go to free agency and he's there and he's got no offers, maybe we can give him, just like we did with Cam Hayward last offseason. We have a good amount of money, though, so I'm liking where we're sitting at. And Zach Martin is here, and he really wants to be in Pittsburgh. That could really, if we want to go win now, if we want to go all in year number 4 and try to get back to a championship game, then signing Zach Martin is the option, the obvious choice. I've never seen Zach Martin get to free agency. Usually the Cowboys always lock him up or he retires. That's really crazy. let me go into our team and see what the needs are before we start throwing out cash to everybody. I really think Zach Martin is a go-to target here. We've got George Pickens developing really well. We've got Deontay Johnson actually developing really well. And then we've got Stanford, who needs to be the third string. Freiermuth is a X factor, and I just noticed Kenny Pickett is a superstar, so he is beginning that development. We are in need of guards because Brandon Scherf has retired. We do have Pierman, though. We can move Pierman to one of the guards and then sign... You know what? I might just do that now. Although we have James Daniels, too. James Daniels can be a guard. Maybe even a left guard. Let's switch James Daniels to left guard, and then we'll sign Zach Martin and put him at right guard and have him be the big guy on the right guard spot. And we need to sign a tackle. That is exactly the biggest need. Unless we can put Pierman in there. Pierman is a 75 at right tackle. We'll put Pierman at right tackle. So maybe we can save on not signing a tackle. Let's see if we do that. And then we generate the best lineup. And then we sign Zach Martin in free agency. Hopefully. The offensive line is going to look a little bit better. We need to sign another wide receiver. That is for sure. We definitely need to sign another receiver. Maybe another running back as a backup. And we're going to have Duval play middle linebacker. I'm actually just going to switch him to middle linebacker so that he is just straight up playing it. Because he's clearly our best option. Unless we go and sign Holcomb again. But I'm going to switch him to middle linebacker. He should stay relatively the same. He is the same. So that's our linebacking core. Fox is a star development player. I think that Felix needs to be our safety. I think that just makes the most sense because Casey's just not it. So I'm actually going to move Devontae Felix to safety, to strong safety, because I just think that he obviously can play it, and he can play it better than Casey can. And the only reason we brought Casey back was because he was a superstar. So Felix now starts at safety, strong safety. We need more corners now because we moved Felix. So we need... Okay, so here's the plan. We need a couple backups, a running back, or maybe even a quarterback, but they'll sign a quarterback in like simulation anyway. So we definitely want to go after Zach Martin. That's a guarantee. I'll give him a 2-year deal. He really wants to be here. It just depends on what the rest of the league is paying him. We are in a battle with the Commanders and the Broncos for a 35-year-old right guard who's a Hall of Famer, but will he... We got to go all in. I'm going to withdraw this offer and offer him even more. I know it might not be the smartest idea for a 35-year-old right guard, but I'm going to offer him just a little bit more. That puts us to the top. It doesn't guarantee where he's going to sign with us, but at least it puts us at the top of the list. We need possibly a backup running back. Is there anybody that doesn't want anybody? Gerald Ford? I know his name's Jerome Ford. Joe Mixon has really fallen. You know what? Give me Joe Mixon. I just need him as a backup. I don't need him as anything crazy. So we'll offer Joe Mixon a 1-year deal just to be a backup running back. Wide receivers. Who do we need? Who do we want? John Mechie's interesting. I'm going to throw an offer at John Mechie. He's young and he's not super expensive. And then I'll even go in for another receiver. Who's another receiver that wants to be here that's young? Curtis Samuel's not young. Alan Lazard's already 30. I'll throw an offer at Tyler Lockett. He's not young, but I'll throw an offer at Tyler Lockett. We'll go drop this down a little bit. 3.5 and 3. If he accepts, he accepts. He probably won't. He'll probably get offered from another team. And then we're going after Zach Martin. We need corner. We need a corner. Who's going to be the corner that we go after? Kyer Elam? Wouldn't hate it. Benjamin St. Juste also wouldn't hate, but he's already 28. Maybe he could affect the team a little bit. I'll give him a nice little 2-year deal. See what he says to that. I would like to bring in another corner. Just, who do we go after? Bryce Hall, maybe? Bryce Hall's also 28. Andrew Booth. Cordell Flott, but he doesn't want to be here. I would prefer somebody that wants to be here. Desmond King. already was here. Byron Jones is old. Kyle Fuller is still here. He's got superstar development still. You know what? I'll sign Kyle Fuller for a season. Can I not? Oh, I have my 5 negotiations. Okay, so we can't do that. Let me just go quickly to Cole Holcomb. Does he have any offers? He has 3 offers. Okay, so Cole Holcomb will probably get signed. Good for him. Good for him. But we have our offers. We have Zach Martin, Tyler Lockett, Benjamin St. Juste, John Mechie, and Joe Mixon. The real big one is Zach Martin, but I don't know if he'll sign. Everybody signed but Tyler Lockett. How many of them signed with us? We got Zach Martin, we got Mechie, and we got Mixon. Those are really, really big. Those are really, really big. Did Holcomb sign anywhere? Holcomb is still here. I don't think it's worth spending the money on him. But I do want to get another corner. So, who was the corner that I was just looking at? It was... Oh, that's right. It was Kyle Fuller because he's had superstar development. He's old. Let's offer Kyle Fuller that deal. That would be 4 corners then. Right? That'd be 4 corners? I think so. There aren't really any D tackles that I want. I think we're just going to save the rest of our money that we have. If we get Tyler Lockett and Kyle Fuller, cool. Other teams are in on... We got Kyle Fuller, so that is an extra corner. Maybe we need to look at a different receiver. Just take off the stuff for Tyler Lockett, I guess. Who's got no offers that kind of wants to be here? Deontay Hardy, Curtis Samuel. I'll just go for Curtis Samuel. He's a Buckeye. Why not? We'll offer him that. Maybe he'll accept. I don't know. And then we need to go for... Do I need another corner? I don't remember how many corners I need. We're just going to withdraw on Tyler Lockett. And I'll use my evaluation period. Curtis Samuel does sign with us. Okay, so we had a pretty good free agent period. We actually had a really good free agent period. We bring in Zach Martin, who solidifies this team as legit. Generate best lineup. Joe Mixon goes behind there. We've got 5 receivers now that I like. The offensive line looks really good now. And then on defense, we've got still 3 corners. Okay. I did need to sign another corner. Okay. So I'll go and quickly sign one more corner because I'd like to have 4. Unless we draft one, then we could also draft one. But since we made the AFC title game, our draft pick is probably not very good. Yeah, we were like the 6th best team in the league. So our draft pick's probably going to be really, really bad. So I probably should go and sign a corner. Just so I can have 4 of them that I actually trust. So let's go to the cornerback spots. Who's available that I think would be good? Avonte Maddox has 2 teams interested in him. Cordell still doesn't want to be here. I don't want to go this far down. Or maybe I should. Jerry Jacobs is cool. Greedy Williams. Let's get Greedy Williams. He's young. Well, not anymore. He was young. We'll offer him that. He should accept. And that'll be the final guy that I offer a contract to. This was a really, really good free agency. Really, really big. We make sure that this offense is going to keep on cruising. And we should be able to absolutely dominate. I'm expecting... I mean, we put up huge expectations for next year by getting to the AFC title game. So I'm expecting nothing less than another division title and another trip to the AFC Championship. Maybe even a trip to the Super Bowl in year number 4. That could be a possibility. You never know. I thought we would have a shot at the Ravens, but I mean, they beat us by 1. That kind of sucks. That really does kind of suck. Private workouts. We aren't going to be able to get anybody at the top here because we are picking pretty late in the draft. So if I'm going to look at anybody, I'm going to look at tackles because we do still need a tackle. I know we have the center that we turned into a tackle, but we still could use a tackle. So if we're going to be picking at the back half of the first round, we got all these guys right here that we can choose from. So, well, preferably these guys that are probably going to make it. So Rashawn McCrary looks pretty good. We'll keep an eye on him. What about this man right here, Isaiah Taylor? Also looks pretty good. Stamina doesn't really matter in simulation. J.D. Stewart. His strength is poor. That throws me off a little bit, but he's got really good stats. He's a really intriguing one. And then what about the left tackle spot? We know that guy's around 1 to 2. There's not a whole lot on the left tackle. The right tackle spot definitely has a lot more guys in the first and second round that could be more valuable. And then obviously the centers. Who's this guy? Brian Hayden. Really good athlete. Okay, I'm intrigued by you. I'm intrigued by a couple of these guys. And I lost my connection to this EA servers for some reason. I'm intrigued by a few of these centers. We might be taking a center. This guy's a really good athlete. Okay, I'm gonna use... Hold on. Let me look at Tim McCoy. I might be drafting a bunch of offensive linemen this year. I'm gonna use my focus private workouts on Ben Doran and on Rayshon McCrary and J.D. Stewart. Those are going to be the 3 guys that I use. I might be drafting a lot of offensive linemen this year. That is for sure. That is for sure. But you can never have too many offensive linemen. That is a true statement. We get to the year 3 draft. I want to see the receivers really quickly. Is there anybody that I should be interested in? All these guys are not great with their base top skills. They don't look that great. This might not be class 4 receivers. This guy's 6'5" though. Tyler Lippett. He's a okay athlete. If he's on the board and when we come up to pick, I could theoretically see me taking him, but maybe not in round 1. I don't know. Let's start drafting. We don't pick till late. We pick at pick 30 because we were a really good team. Let's skip right to it and see what we got. I didn't put anybody on my board, but we know who we're going after. Let me just check that wide receiver real quick. He is gone. What about this guy? LaMarcus Carlisle? He's not good. He's not... Okay, we're not taking a receiver. I just was curious. Maybe there was a super fast receiver or something. So the centers, they're all here because they were projected to go pretty late. Good to see that. The right tackles, both the right tackles that we scouted are here. J.D. Stewart is around 2 to 3. But Rayshon McCrary is around 1 to 2. I think J.D. Stewart looked better, didn't he? He looked better. That's because his strength is poor, probably. But he's got really good stats, but I'm guessing that's why he's low. Or he's not projected to be as high because... But no, I mean, to be fair, J.D. Stewart's stats do look better. But I think the only reason why he's rated round 2 to 3 is because of the strength. I really do think that. But the centers, they're all still here. And the guy that we scouted was Ben Doran. And he is a very good athlete and looks really, really good. We're not going to take him in round 1. We are going to take... Who are we going to take? I could see myself... not these guys are all around... I was going to say, I could see myself taking a D tackle, but they're all around 3 to 4. I can't vouch for that. That'd be a bad pick. This guy doesn't look bad. Bryce Vereen, he doesn't look that bad. Middle linebackers don't look great. There's this guy, Austin Carrington. Elite speed. Ooh, he's round 2 to 3. Ooh, I might want him just because he's a speed guy. I really might. What is his archetype? He's a run stopper with 8 pursuit. His power moves aren't great. Do we take a risk on Austin Carrington? I might want to. And then we just go offensive line the rest of the draft. I gotta do it. He's only normal, but I couldn't pass up on the speed. 87 speed, 88 acceleration. He's just a freak athlete. I had to do it. Now we focus on offensive line the rest of the way. Send him to the next pick, round 2. Who's on the board for offensive line? I didn't really like that tackle. Rayshon McCrary, whatever his name was. I didn't like him. Oh, but the other guy got taken too. All right, that's a little crazy. But all the centers are still there that we want. I think we might just take all 3 centers. They can play pretty versatile. Brian Hayden looks good. I'm going to take Brian Hayden first. He's hidden development. And then we're going to come back with our 3rd round pick. And if Doran's still on the board, we're going to take him. So let's sim to the next pick. And we will find out if those centers are still there. We've got none of them on the board. Okay, so at least we got one of them. Maybe I shouldn't have taken that outside linebacker or whatever and taken just the offensive line. But another center isn't going to hurt because we can move him around. He looked pretty versatile. He looked pretty versatile, but at this point in round 3, I don't really know what to go with. Is there a corner that might be relatively good? It doesn't look like it. Maybe there's a linebacker that I missed. No. But now we're at the spot where these D tackles could probably go. But they just look not good. They don't look good at all. This guy's all C's. This is not the class for a D tackle, and that's kind of what we need. Defensive ends are not there either. I'm just gonna sim out of the pick. I don't like anything on this board, so I'm just gonna sim out of it. CPU can take whoever they want. I didn't like any of the picks. That's what happens when you pick so late into the draft. There's not a whole lot of value. But we got another offensive line depth piece who is probably pretty versatile. He can probably play a few different spots if we need him to. But the offensive line is pretty good already. We got a 74 in Carrington, and we got a 72 in Hayden, and then they got a bunch of guys that are in the 60s. How good was this class? It had an 80. Stephen Tate was an 80 overall safety. A fullback was a 79, and Tyler Lippett ended up being a 78. Okay, we took a look at him. I feel like we walked away with a good couple players. 2 solid backups. At this point, year number 4, we've kind of got our roster figured out. Draft picks, unless they're absolute studs, are really not going to matter all that much. They're not going to affect the team all that much. And when we're picking so late in the draft, we're not going to be getting guys that are going to affect the team all that much. So we will adjust the lineup, generate the best one. And if we can win again, if we can have a big season, I can see some real big development from the boys. I can see some real big development. I'm liking it. The CPU once again drafted us a hidden development player. This time it's Branson, a corner. I'll take it, man. They keep drafting me some hidden gems. They're doing better than I do sometimes. But I'm going to simulate to the midseason mark of year number 4, and I'm expecting really good results. We've made it to the midseason mark of year 4, and we are finally cooking. 6-1 for the good guys. You love to see it. I'm expecting big morale. Kenny Pickett's still not getting the job done necessarily in terms of overall, but his freaking stats are probably going to be crazy because of this Chiefs playbook that we're rocking with. Zach Martin's killing it. We're seeing big development on the offensive line. We're seeing Stanford probably get the job over Deontay Johnson. You know what? I'm going to make that happen. Stanford's number 2 over Johnson now for the second half of the season. And then defensively, we're seeing Duval go up to 76. Okay. I'm liking some of this development. I'm liking the boys starting to show out. Felix is getting some more development. I mean, TJ Watt can't go up any higher. He's already a freaking true 99. Halfway through year number 4, we're looking really good. I'm expecting us to be even better headed into the second half of the season. I want the 1 seed. I want the division. I want a bye. That is exactly my goals. Let's see if we can accomplish that headed into the year 4 playoffs. We've made it to the year 4 playoffs, and we got exactly what I wanted. We are the 1 seed, we got the bye, and we are division winners, 14-3, absolute domination from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The good guys are on top. You love to see it. And we're seeing some real good development from mainly our 6th round X Factor, Cordell Stanford, who is a freak of nature, and he just keeps getting better in this Kansas City offense. Kenny Pickett is putting up good numbers. We'll take a look at his stats in a second. The defense is also holding up pretty well, and we're dominating as you would expect us to. Let's take a look at these stats and see why we're getting such good development out of the boys. Kenny Pickett did drop down a little bit in the passing, but he still had 34 touchdowns, 16 picks, and a 71% completion percentage. He was still putting up them yards, 4,200 to be exact. 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns for Najee Harris is beautiful, especially in this offense. And Cordell Stewart, he's taken over. Forget about being George Pickens' team. Forget about him being the #1 receiver. It's the 6th round X Factor. If he could go up to anything higher than X Factor, which I think is something Madden should do. They should add another tier higher than X Factor. I think it'd be really fun. But it's like you can only get it if you're like a super special talent. 1,100 yards and 13 touchdowns for Stanford. Freiermuth had another fantastic year in the Kelsey role. Pickens had a really good year too, just not as good as Stanford did. And then Deontay Johnson, when we dropped him down to the 3rd receiver and let Stanford ball out, we see what happens. On the defense, Owusu Koromoa had 129 tackles, 8 for loss, 3 sacks, and a pick. That is a great season. Duval had 120. This could be him going up to superstar development. I don't know for sure because he didn't have any sacks or picks. Probably not, but that's a really good season nonetheless. Devontae Felix, 83 tackles, but 4 picks is really good at that strong safety spot. 17 tackles for loss for J.J. Watt. Only 8 sacks. Went down a little bit, but he's getting a little older at this point, and we got a lot more help on defense than normally. 21 tackles for loss is the leader in the clubhouse with Alex Highsmith. 18 for Lance Fox. Sack leader was Highsmith with 17 sacks, so he picked up the production that T.J. Watt kind of dropped. Lance Fox had 5.5, 4 for Benton. And Owusu Koromoa had 3. A couple guys had 1.5 and 1. Felix led the team with 4 picks. Joey Porter had 2. So did Fitzpatrick and Hancock. And then a couple guys had 1. The boys are looking pretty good. The boys are looking pretty darn spicy as we head into the divisional round against the Houston Texans and the former Ohio State Buckeye C.J. Stroud. And we win 35-29 over the Texans. We take on the Raiders in the AFC title game. Back-to-back AFC championships for the boys. We lost to Baltimore last year. Can we win this time? I don't know. I hope we can do it. I don't know if we can. Let's get down here to the Advance the Week thing. Raiders and Steelers for a trip to the Super Bowl here in year 4. We did it by 1 point. Why are the divisional rounds so close? We lost by 1 point to the Ravens last year, and now we beat the Raiders, although it was a heck of a game. 44-43. What a game. But we beat them by a point. Absolutely insane AFC Championship game. I bet that would have been hilariously good to watch. And now we take on the 9-8 San Francisco 49ers. That's it. They're 9-8. Okay, boys. Year 4 could be the real deal. We could be winning our championship here. I'm going to jump in and we're going to try to do this. We're 14-3. We're clearly favored on paper, but the Niners are no slouch. They are a good team. Let's jump in and see if we can get it done.
Madden football is the home of the Super Bowl, and this historic matchup is brought to you by EA Sports. It's the Steelers and the Niners. All that and more coming up next.
We are pleased as always to be bringing you coverage of the National Football League on EA Sports. Tonight, it is all on the line. We play for the Lombardi Trophy, as it'll be the Pittsburgh Steelers, the AFC champion, taking on the NFC champions, the San Francisco 49ers. Hi again, everyone. Brandon Gaudin alongside Charles Davis. And Charles, you take a look at these 49ers as they enter play here. They come in on a pretty good roll here, winners of 3 straight. Meanwhile, for the visiting Steelers, they've been playing their best football of the year, winners of 4 in a row. inside it all. Super Bowl 61 underway. And that one will bounce out of the back of the end zone, so we will start here.
Here we are. It is the Super Bowl against the 49ers. They take an early 3-0 lead, but we fight back 3-0. Now it's 3-3, 10-3, 17-3. Wild scoring. Okay, 17-10. Come on, boys. Come on. 24-10 in the fourth quarter. It is 24-17. I'm getting a little bit nervous here. Oh, but we're driving towards the end of the fourth quarter. 31-17. You love to see it. We might have just gotten ourselves a championship, and they punted it back to us. Why would they punt the ball back to us? It's 31-17 in the Super Bowl. You look at Kenny Pickett. He has been through the mud. You can't punt the ball back to us with the game on the line. Oh, look at the blocking. Oh, you got to hold that block for a second longer. I want this Najee Harris and that blocking in the Red Dragons franchise. Oh, what a great season it was. I told you we were ready, man. It's gonna happen for the Steelers. Another championship, the first one since the 2000s when they beat the Arizona Cardinals. What was that, 2009? 2010? It was around that era. Oops, I threw a pick. I was just goofing and threw a pick. But luckily, even if they score a touchdown in 50 seconds, they can't beat us. So they will not even score, and that is the ball game, boys. The Pittsburgh Steelers have won a championship again. The rebuild is officially completed. We have won a championship. We have rebuilt the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I'm actually going to do one thing that I don't normally do once we win a championship. I'm going to go another year. We're going to go year 5, and we're going to see if we can go back to back. I doubt it, knowing Madden, but we've got a good team. We could do it. We're going to go and try to go back to back here in year 5. So we are going to go one more season. That'll be the final season regardless if we win or lose. But I'm hoping we can get her done. Kenny Pickett is the boy. I told you I wanted him to be here, and I did what I said I wanted to do. I kept George Pickens, I kept Kenny Pickett, I kept Pat Freiermuth, I kept Broderick Jones, I kept TJ Watt. Cam Hayward was still here, I think, until he retired. Is he still on the team? I don't even remember. But he was here. Joey Porter's still here. Minka is still here. Like, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers just with a few additions. Just with a few upgrades. So I did what I wanted to do. I stayed to my word, and we kept the boys around. And we drafted really well on the offensive line. We drafted really well on the cornerback spot. And we have won a championship again. The dynasty, the Steel City is back. Who's going to win Super Bowl MVP, though? That's a big question. That is a really big question. Who is it going to be? It is Kenny Pickett. Tiny Hands Pickett is your Super Bowl MVP. We don't get any other awards except for Coach of the Year. Tua Tagovailoa wins the MVP of the league. Good for him. You never see that in simulation. Usually it's either like Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Dak. It's usually one of those guys. Not really ever Tua. But here we go. We've got ourselves one more season, the final year. We've got a championship under our belts. Hopefully the guys don't coast next year, and we can go back to back. But we got to get to the re-sign period. I don't even know who's in need of a contract, because we re-signed TJ Watt recently. Kenny Pickett might need a new contract. We might be screwed with that. Does Kenny Pickett need a new contract? Minka needs one. Tony Hancock has his option that we can accept. Kenny Pickett does need a new contract, but luckily for us, he doesn't have like a huge, massive franchise quarterback contract, so we can work with that. And there's nobody else. We're not going to bring back Casey, even though he still is a superstar, funny enough. We're not going to bring him back. Darnell Washington we might bring back. Let's get Minka locked up so we don't have to worry about that. We got to go one more year, so we don't really need to even worry about contracts. Let's just make sure Minka's coming back. He says he's not. Well, you're getting franchise tag, Minka. I don't care about that. 24.4 is not even that bad. So, for Minka, at least. And we're locking up Kenny. He's not the highest overall, but we are locking him up on a nice contract. He's coming back. We got our quarterback. Joey Porter will return to the team, hopefully. We get Joey Porter back. I know he doesn't want to be here, but Hopefully you come back, and he's coming back. I don't know why he says he doesn't want to play in a, he wants to play in a warm weather state, but he went to college at Penn State, and he's now in Pittsburgh. Like, he didn't move states. So why would he want to play in a warm weather? I don't know. Maybe he just wants to try something new. Who knows? Let's see if we can lock up. Wow, Keanu Benton says he wants to play for a new team. Okay. Go screw. Let's get Darnell Washington locked up for 3 seasons. He's coming back, and we still end up having $33 million in cap room. We're gonna re-sign Boswell just because he's Chris Boswell. He's a Steeler legend. He's coming back, and we will look to sign some extra pieces, just those little fine touches, fine details in free agency, because we still have a good amount of money. So we'll see if we can add anybody in free agency that'll help this team go back to back. Marcus Williams don't need. Kyle Duggar don't need. This isn't the class for that kind of stuff. We don't need really anybody. We could go all in on like DeForest Buckner, just because he's got X factor and he could be a good piece. We do need a D tackle since we just lost Benton. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna spend some big cash. We're gonna go in on DeForest Buckner. I know he's only an 82, but that X factor might help us on defense. You never know. So we're gonna spend that money. That's a lot of money for an old guy, but it could end up being good. Deshaun Watson's here. I see Will Levis. Will Levis is here as well. He could be our backup. We don't need a running back. We don't need... Ooh, Jalen Hyatt. And Rashid Shaheed. I never see Jalen Hyatt here. I'm going to offer him just because I never see him. We're going to go in on Jalen Hyatt. Schoonmaker's a tight end that we could go after, but I don't really want to. Offensive line's pretty good. We're going to stick with what we got. Defensive line is pretty good. Phillips, we don't need. Nobody. Ooh, there's some guys you never really see. Lucas Van Ness is another guy you never really see. Usually the Packers re-sign him all the time, but they let him go. Cole Holcomb must have only signed a 1-year deal because he's back in free agency. We don't need any of these guys. This wasn't really that great of a draft class. We're just going to go with the guys that we've targeted. Hit that little evaluation period. We got Buckner and we got Hyatt. That's going to be our free agent period for the final season, because there just really wasn't a lot there. I was hoping that free agent class would have some studs. It did not. It did not have any studs that we're really interested in, or really any studs at all. Okay, so we go to the team, adjust the lineup, and generate the best one. We'll add Jalen Hyatt in there. Now we have a lot of receivers I like. Oh no, Zach Martin's retired. Ooh, that changes some things. Okay. That does change a few things. I like the defense. The defense as a whole is really, really good. Wait, where the heck is Felix? Where's Devontae Felix? Oh. I am the dumbest person ever. He was literally right in front of my face. I was looking for superstar development. That's how I find players. And he's an X Factor now. I'm such an idiot. He was right in front of my face and I didn't see him because I wasn't expecting him to have X Factor. Well, Devontae Felix has X Factor now. Devontae Felix has superstar X Factor. Where's Felix? Right in front of your stupid face, you idiot. God, I'm dumb. Oh, man. Okay. Now that is figured out and we didn't lose our stud safety, we need to... I didn't know that Zach Martin was going to retire. That kind of puts us in an awkward position. That kind of puts us in a little bit of an awkward spot here. I'm going to sign Will Levis because I think it'd be funny. So we're going to get Will Levis to be a backup quarterback, and we're going to spend a little bit of money on a backup running back. We're going to get tiny little Deuce Vaughn. That's who we're going to go and sign. He's very small. And that's going to be the money that we have. I'm just going to move one of the... we got Deuce Vaughn and Will Levis. Perfect. I'm going to just move one of the offensive linemen that we have to guard. That seems like the best idea. Or maybe we draft a guard, but I don't think there's going to be any guards at the spot that we're going to be picking. If I just go to draft or if I go to move a guard, because we drafted that other center last year, so That should be good. I was hoping Zach Martin would hold out for another year so we could go back-to-back, but he won a championship and retired, so you got to respect it. You got to respect it. He was never going to get one on the Cowboys, although in simulation he did, I think. Did the Cowboys win one this year? I don't think the Cowboys won one this year, actually. But we'll just move, is it Braden? Brian Hayden. We'll move him to right guard, and then we'll be good to go. It's not going to be as high of an overall, but he should get the job done regardless. There we go. Offensive line looks good now. The team looks good in general. The team looks really, really good in general. I like it. I'm expecting us to dominate next year. Maybe even go undefeated. Probably not. Madden always screws me. And I screw Madden. It's a screw-screw relationship. You love to see it. Who was the guys that I scouted? I think it was offensive lineman I scouted. I can't remember exactly. I know I scouted a center, right? Yeah, I scouted this guy, Blake Pearson. And actually, he's a 2 to 3 talent at center. Very intriguing. Very, very intriguing. I think I scouted a receiver, actually. Ooh! Andrew Holloway is a top 5 talent, projected 2nd to 3rd round. Wow. He doesn't look that great, but he's a top 5 talent. I'm taking him. I'm taking him. You don't have to tell me twice. I was already thinking about taking a receiver, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to take me a receiver. And we can probably get him without having to take him with the first pick. With our first round pick. It'll be risky, but we should be able to do it. I'm just going to use it on a couple outside linebackers. I don't really have any guys that I want. I didn't really look too hard at the whole draft class because these guys literally won't matter because of the fact that this is the final year. They're not going to really play, so it's not going to really matter who we go after. But I want to get that receiver now. I definitely want to get that receiver. Let's start the draft. We pick at the final pick of the draft, first round. No surprise there. Skip to the pick. Skip to my Lou. And what do we got on the board? What do we got on the board? We got our guy Andrew Holloway. We're going to have to take him now because he's going to go before our next pick in the second round. So we're definitely going to take him. But I'll take with my second round pick, I'll take that center. So let's take Andrew Holloway, 5'11", deep threat from Georgia. He's a top 5 talent, and he's got 97 speed, 96 agility, 94 agility, 96 acceleration, 95 change of direction. He's an unbelievable player, and if we were going to go even further, he would be studly. I'm a drafting god. What else do you want from me? Of course, I'm going to find a player that's that good. Of course. Now we go to the next pick, second round pick. We take that center. He should be there, unless somebody reached for him, but I doubt that. And he is still on the board. Blake Pearson, welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is unbelievable. He's also from Georgia. We're just building a Georgia team. I didn't even realize he was from Georgia. So we got the Georgia receiver and a Georgia offensive lineman. You love to see it. Can we get anybody else from Georgia? Is there anybody else from Georgia? Let's go. Let's take a look at those guys. Are those guys that I scouted still on the board? Doesn't look like it, unless was it left outside linebackers? Oh, they're taken if I scouted them. I don't even know who to take on this next pick. Maybe just an offensive lineman, because usually offensive linemen are still pretty good down the board. Although this class does not have any guys that are amazing. We could take another receiver. We know a little bit about him. We have 70% on a few, but I don't really want to waste my pick on a receiver. I'm just gonna you know what? It's the final season. I'm just gonna let the CPU handle it. There's no reason I need to waste any draft picks or waste any more time. So we got the two guys that I wanted. We got the center and we got the stud wide receiver. I'm really liking this team, man. Kenny Pickett's got another weapon on this offense, and we replaced the center that we moved to guard by getting another center. So that's always good. How good are the boys? 78 for Andrew Holloway. 97 speed's crazy. And then a 72 for Blake Pearson's good. And then they drafted a bunch of guys that are not going to matter at all. I hope one has X Factor, or one has a development trait. Who's the highest in the class? It is Roman Hatchett, who went #1 overall. But then we tied for the second highest player in the class with a running back who went in the second round. You love to see it. Absolutely amazing. I'm happy with that draft. And now we got one final season to defend our crown as world champions. I hope we can do it. I hope we can get ourselves to the promised land once again and defend our championship. I will see you guys. You know what? I'm not even going to go to the midseason mark. We're going to go straight to the postseason this time. I'll see you guys then. We've made it to the Year 5 playoffs, and we are here. Well, number 1 seed again, won the division, went 15-2, so not an undefeated season, but still unbelievably good from the boys. I mean, the defending champs, did you expect anything less? Really? Did you expect anything less? Kenny Pickett's developing really well. We've got ourselves a stud rookie in Holloway. The offensive line is holding up pretty well. I mean, Hazelwood's ended up becoming one of our better offensive line picks that I've gotten. Pat Fryermuth's playing up to a 97. The defense is unbelievable. And look at this. The boys drafted me, again, more development players. They drafted me Brooks. They drafted me Franklin. 2 more hidden development players that I didn't draft, but I'm going to say that I did because I'm a drafting god and you don't know any better. Unbelievable defense. Some of my favorite players I've drafted in a rebuild. But I'm just happy that the boys are developing. Specifically like Kenny Pickett, who led the league, I think, by 1 yard over Dak Prescott. And that's a fantastic season. 4,700 yards, 41 picks, 41 touchdowns, 5 picks. I hope it's not 41 picks. That could be MVP caliber numbers. I hope it is. That could be MVP caliber numbers. Najee Harris, another fantastic season, especially with 15 touchdowns. Cordell Stewart is becoming a franchise wide receiver, and we drafted him in the 6th round. This is the Tom Brady of the wide receiver position. He's unbelievable. 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns. Fryermuth had another fantastic year. What do you expect? Any tight end is going to put up numbers in the Kansas City offense. That's just a given. That's why I'm never too upset in a simulation in a rebuild when I draft a tight end that's not a development trait, because if you put them in the Kansas City offense, they're going to be an X factor by like season 2, season 3. So it's never too much of a worry. Pickens had another really good year. Deontay Johnson had another good year. And then on the defense, we had Owusu-Koramoah with 112 tackles, 4 tackles for loss. Duval, 87, and 5 tackles for loss. Tackle for loss leader was DeForest Buckner, so the veteran that we picked up to bolster this defensive line. 14 tackles for loss and 16 sacks as well. He was getting after it. 14 for loss for Fox. We were getting pressure. 16 for Buckner, 12 for Watt, 10.5 for Highsmith, 7.5 for Fox, 4.5 for Odafe Owe. We were getting crazy pressure, and we were getting picks too. Fitzpatrick had 3, Felix had 2, so did Porter and Hancock, and then Branson had 1. I don't even know who Branson is, but he had 1 pick. Good for him. And now we've got our revenge game against the Ravens. Remember, in year 3, they beat us in the AFC title game. Can we beat them in the divisional round? Come on, boys. We do. 31-24. We're taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC title game. Can we beat them? 15-2 versus 11-6. I would be shocked if we lost this one. Absolutely shocked. And we do. 20-14. Beat the Jaguars. We're taking on the Commanders. Okay, we took on the who did we play last? Who did we play last year in the Super Bowl? The 49ers, that's right. We played the 49ers last year in the Super Bowl. Weren't they 9-5? Wait, what? That's not right. They were 9-8. I don't know why I didn't give them 3 losses. They were 9-8, and now the Commanders make it to the Super Bowl. They're 10-7. I would expect back-to-back rings, but it's the Super Bowl. You never know. Let's find out.
Madden football is the home of the Super Bowl, and this historic matchup is brought to you by EA Sports. It's the Commanders and the reigning Super Bowl champs. Coming up next.
EA Sports coverage of the National Football League is on the air. Tonight, it is all on the line. We play for the Lombardi Trophy, as it'll be the Pittsburgh Steelers, the AFC champion, taking on the NFC champions, the Washington Commanders. With Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. Charles, we look at this Steeler Ball Club entering play. They were winners last time out, so they'll be looking, Charles, to make it 2 in a row.
And what I enjoyed when I watched their game tape and their victory last week is they put it together in every phase. Good offense, good defense, and some key plays on special teams. Let's see if they can get that.
We've made it to the Super Bowl for the second straight year, and we're off to a good start, 3-0. Commanders fire back with a touchdown. We get a touchdown, 10-7. Another field goal, 13-7. 13-10. Into the second half now. It's 13-17. Come on, boys. 13-20. 20-20, we tied it up. Uh-oh. But the Commanders are driving late in this game. 4th and inches. They kick a field goal, and we've got a chance. A minute 10. 3rd and 8. I don't like this. It's getting a little spooky. We're in spooky season. Kenny Pickett with a chance to go back-to-back Super Bowls. That's a risky throw. Pickens drops it, and it's going to have to go back to the Commanders on a punt. They want us to go for it? Oh, I know it's the Super Bowl. Actually, I thought we were tied. We have to go for it. I don't know what I'm thinking. We have to go for it. I thought we were tied 20-20 still, but it is 23-20. We have to go for this. And I'm going to go quickly. It's going to be Pickens' catch. Hold on. And we use our final timeout because we got to go for a touchdown, baby. I don't want to go for a freaking field goal. We got to go for a touchdown. I don't want to waste any time. We've got amazing weapons. Can Kenny Pickett bring some magic to the Steel City? He's wide open. George Pickens. Touchdown, Steelers. Another Super Bowl for the boys. And it's the man who we said we were going to keep on the team, George Pickens. And the boys have just clinched, hopefully, their second Super Bowl. And we got Will Levis a championship too, so congratulations to him. Do they have Arthur Smith as their head coach? All their timeouts are gone. The Commanders can't do anything. They punted the ball back to us, and we've got two, count them, 2 world titles in the rebuild, back to back. Oh, the Steeler dynasty's back. I mean, the Steeler dynasty is back. 3 straight AFC title appearances, 2 straight Super Bowls, and 2 straight Super Bowl wins. The Steeler dynasty is back in full force, and they're not letting up anytime soon. They've got Kenny Pickett locked up on a somewhat team-friendly deal. They've got a lot of young rookies and a lot of just young players in general. This Steeler team is the real deal. It's the first time I've gone back-to-back in a rebuild. But check off the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have done it. Add them to the list of successful teams that I've rebuilt. The Panthers, the Bears, the Giants, I forgot the other team, and the Pittsburgh Steelers add to that list. Kenny Pickett probably going to win Super Bowl MVP again. Put his little tiny hands on it. What a ride. What a rebuild. What a freaking rebuild, boys. You love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. 27-23. Kenny Pickett led the game-winning drive. We were down by 3. The play-action crosser to George Pickens. The safety over the top did not do anything. Didn't cover him at all. Just let him go. And the boys are back-to-back champions. Baby, that's what you love to see. That is going to do it for the episode, though, for the rebuild. Let's see who is the MVP. It is Kenny Pickett. We don't get any other awards. That's fine. We got the one award that mattered, which was the Super Bowl. Let's take one final look at the roster and just bask in the glory of this team, man. Kenny Pickett goes up to X Factor. Well-deserved. He is an X Factor quarterback now. Absolutely. He didn't win the MVP, but he got himself 2 championships and 2 Super Bowl MVPs, so I'd say that's pretty good. I mean, maybe the most favorite player that I ever have in a rebuild has been Cordell Stewart, or Cordell Stanford. Have I been saying Cordell Stewart? That's a former quarterback, isn't it? Cordell Stanford. Because the CPU drafted him in the 6th round. And he was an X Factor from the start. And he has turned into one of the best players that has ever been drafted auto-generated in my rebuilds. Now, I do have a question. I wonder if Kenny Pickett's development would have been even better if I wouldn't have messed around in year number 1 with the Philly offense. If we would have just went straight to Kansas City from the get-go, I wonder if he would have been even higher of an overall instead of playing up to an 88 with +6 morale. I don't know. Maybe he would have been a true 88 if he would have just went from straight Kansas City playbook. But Hazelwood was amazing. Obviously, George Pickens was great. Holloway ends up having star development. No surprise there, but he is super fast. 97 speed, 96 acceleration. Andrew Holloway is a stud. And then on the defense, we started out hot with some corners. We got Hancock and we got Devontae Felix, who we then moved to safety to replace Casey. And this man ends up probably being better than Hancock only because of that development trait. He had superstar right off the get-go. But I mean, Tony Hancock's no slouch. He is no slouch. He's a stud. He's got played up to 98 man coverage. This man is the real deal. He's a lockdown corner. You do not want to throw his way. Think of prime Jalen Ramsey. He is a stud. And then we even have this guy who I didn't also draft. This is Edward Branson. He got drafted by the CPU. He's a stud. Just needs more time to develop. And then obviously we kept TJ Watt on the team. We got this dude, Roman Duval. He didn't really do much. He had some good seasons in simulation. Had a couple 100+ tackle seasons. He was really good in simulation, but he just didn't really get the time to develop because he was already such a low overall. And he was sitting behind a couple people at the beginning. Highsmith is now a superstar development player. We drafted this dude, Lance Fox, in the first round. And he was maybe considered a little bit of a bust at the beginning, but he's really turned his career around, and he's a freaking stud. But we kept a lot of the Steeler team around. Joey Porter, Alex Highsmith, Minka Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt. And then on the offense, we've got James Daniels, Broderick Jones, Freiermuth, and Darnell Washington, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Najee, and Kenny Pickett. Like, we kept the core of this team locked up and won 2 championships. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club. If you have any other suggestions for future rebuilds, future teams to rebuild, or future rebuild challenges, leave them down in the comments, and I would be happy to give them a shot at some point in the future. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I truly appreciate it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.